Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that has the power to shape our lives in remarkable ways: positive thinking. But let's be clear, this isn't about pretending everything is fine when it isn't, or slapping a smile on when you're struggling. Positive thinking is about something much deeper and much braver. It's about choosing hope, gratitude, and resilience, even when life feels like it's pushing against you. Positive thinking begins with a willingness to face the truth about where we are and what we're feeling. It's not about avoiding the hard stuff or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Instead, it's about leaning into our humanity, embracing the fact that life is full of ups and downs, and acknowledging that it's okay not to have it all figured out. This is where vulnerability becomes the foundation of real positivity. When we allow ourselves to feel deeply, we create space for transformation. Think about it. If you can't name what's weighing you down, how can you hope to move forward? Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the ultimate act of courage. It's looking at the challenges in your life and saying, I see you, you're hard, but I'm still here and I'm willing to try. That willingness to stand in the discomfort without numbing it or running from it is the first step toward finding hope and meaning. Being vulnerable also allows us to connect with others in profound ways. When we share our struggles, we give others permission to do the same, creating a space where authentic connection can thrive. This sense of belonging and understanding is what helps us build resilience. Positive thinking isn't just an individual endeavor. It's something we nurture in each other through empathy and shared experiences. It's important to understand that vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or dwelling on negativity. It's about being honest with ourselves and others in a way that is constructive and real. It's admitting this is hard while holding on to the belief that things can get better. This duality, the ability to hold both truth and hope, is where the magic of positive thinking begins. When we embrace vulnerability, we stop seeing our challenges as barriers and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. It's not about avoiding fear or sadness, but learning to sit with those emotions long enough to understand them and ultimately to transcend them. From this place of honesty and openness, positive thinking emerges, not as blind optimism, but as a resilient and compassionate mindset that carries us forward. Gratitude is often thought of as a fleeting feeling, something we experience when life gives us something we desire or when we're surrounded by moments of joy. But in reality, gratitude is far more than a temporary emotion. It is a practice, an intentional, disciplined choice to notice and appreciate what we have, even in the midst of life's challenges. It's not something that just happens to us. It's something we actively cultivate every day. When we see gratitude as a practice, we begin to understand that it doesn't require perfection or ideal circumstances. It's not about waiting for everything to fall into place before we acknowledge what's good. Instead, gratitude invites us to find meaning and beauty in the small, often overlooked moments. Whether it's the warmth of a cup of coffee in the morning, the support of a friend, or the simple act of breathing, these moments are all worth appreciating. That is the Oppenheimer effect. The more we practice gratitude, the more we train our minds to notice the positive, even when things are tough. This practice requires us to shift our focus away from what's lacking or what we don't have and turn our attention toward what is already present. When we focus on scarcity or what's missing, we create a mental landscape of lack which feeds negativity and stress. But when we make gratitude a practice, we train our brains to spot the abundance, the opportunities, and the good that's already in our lives. We begin to realize that even in difficult times, there are still things to be thankful for. Gratitude doesn't come naturally to everyone. especially when life feels hard or overwhelming. But like any practice, it gets easier with time. The more we make it a part of our daily lives, the more it becomes second nature. It's about choosing to stop and reflect on what's going well, even when there's a lot that's not. It's about pausing before we rush through the day and taking a moment to say, I am grateful for this. Over time, this intentional act of recognition becomes a powerful tool for shifting our mindset and changing the way we experience the world. What's also remarkable about gratitude is its ripple effect. When we practice gratitude, we not only shift our own perspective, but we also affect those around us. Gratitude breeds positivity. When we express our thanks, whether it's through words or actions, we contribute to an environment of warmth and appreciation. It's contagious. When others see us being grateful, they are more likely to adopt the practice themselves. It becomes a shared experience, a collective celebration of what's good. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages of more, faster, and bigger, gratitude serves as a quiet reminder to slow down and savor what we already have. It teaches us to be content and to find joy in the present moment without needing external validation or constant improvement. Gratitude anchors us in the here and now, allowing us to appreciate the richness of our lives exactly as they are. So when we embrace gratitude as a practice, we choose to see life differently. We choose to focus on what's going right, not what's going wrong. And in doing so, we create a mental and emotional space where positivity can flourish no matter the circumstances. Gratitude is not just an occasional feeling, it's a daily habit that transforms how we move through the world. So, the inner voice, that quiet but constant dialogue running through our minds, has a profound influence on the way we experience the world. It shapes how we perceive ourselves, how we interact with others, and how we approach the challenges that life throws our way. Often we think of our outer world, our circumstances, relationships, and environments as the primary determinants of our reality. We believe that if things outside of us change, we will feel different, happier, or more fulfilled. But the truth is that it's not the external world that ultimately shapes our experiences. It's our inner voice. The narrative we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. This inner voice creates the lens through which we view everything around us. And in doing so, it shapes our outer world in powerful ways. The voice in our heads is not just a passive observer of life. It's an active participant, constantly interpreting, evaluating, and responding to what we encounter. How we talk to ourselves in moments of stress, triumph, doubt, or joy determines the emotional and mental energy we bring into any situation. If our inner voice is one of criticism and self-doubt, it can color our perception of the world in negative, limiting ways. On the other hand, if we cultivate a voice of encouragement, compassion, and self-belief, our outer world becomes a reflection of those positive, empowering thoughts. One of the most significant ways our inner voice shapes our outer world is by influencing our self-worth. The way we speak to ourselves determines how we show up in the world and how we engage with others. If our inner voice constantly tells us we're not good enough, or that we don't deserve success, we may unconsciously hold ourselves back from pursuing opportunities, speaking our truth, or forming meaningful relationships. These thoughts can lead to self-sabotage, missed opportunities, and a life lived on the sidelines. But when we shift our inner dialogue toward one of self-compassion and confidence, we start to take up more space in the world. We step into our power, ask for what we need, and take actions that align with our true potential. Our inner voice can either keep us small or empower us to rise. Our inner voice also affects our ability to navigate adversity. Life is full of challenges, and how we respond to them can determine whether we emerge stronger or defeated. A critical or defeatist inner voice will amplify our feelings of helplessness, causing us to doubt our abilities and spiral into negative thought patterns. We call these patterns of belief, whatever they are. But when we have an inner voice that reminds us of our resilience, our strength, and our capacity for growth, we are more likely to approach challenges with a sense of agency and determination. We understand that setbacks are not failures, but opportunities to learn, adapt, and move forward. The inner dialogue we maintain in tough times shapes how we perceive and respond to difficulties, influencing the way we experience both our emotional and external realities. The relationships we have with others are also heavily influenced by our inner voice. If we constantly tell ourselves that we are unworthy of love or that others will inevitably disappoint us, we may find it difficult to form trusting, meaningful connections. Our inner narrative can create walls that prevent us from fully opening up or engaging with others in an authentic way. On the other hand, an inner voice that affirms our worthiness of love, respect, and connection invites us to approach relationships with openness and vulnerability. This shift in internal dialogue allows us to attract healthier, more supportive relationships and to engage with others in a way that fosters mutual trust and understanding. How we feel about ourselves on the inside directly impacts the way we connect with the people around us. Our inner voice can also shape the way we approach our goals and dreams. If our self-talk is filled with limiting beliefs, fear of failure, or thoughts that we're not capable, we may find ourselves paralyzed by indecision or procrastination. These thoughts can prevent us from taking the necessary steps to move toward our goals. But when we change our inner narrative to one of possibility, determination, and optimism, we begin to take action. We approach our goals with a sense of confidence and creativity, and we are more likely to overcome obstacles along the way. The power of positive self-talk fuels our motivation and resilience, enabling us to keep going even when things get tough. The beliefs we hold about the world are also shaped by our inner voice. Our thoughts and perceptions about life, work, and the future are all influenced by the stories we tell ourselves. If our inner voice is filled with fear, pessimism, and doubt, we may see the world as a hostile or unpredictable place. This can create a sense of insecurity and anxiety that prevents us from fully engaging with life. However, when we cultivate an inner voice that fosters curiosity, optimism, and trust, we begin to see opportunities where we once saw obstacles. We approach the world with a sense of hope and possibility, believing that we have the power to create the outcomes we desire. Our inner voice can either trap us in a limited view of the world or open us up to endless possibilities. Our physical health is also influenced by the messages we tell ourselves. The mind and body are deeply interconnected, and our thoughts can have a profound impact on our physical well-being. Negative self-talk, stress, and anxiety can lead to physical tension, fatigue, and even illness. However, when we practice self-compassion and mindfulness, we create a sense of calm and balance within ourselves. This positive inner dialogue can help reduce stress, improve our immune system, and promote overall well-being. By nurturing a healthy inner voice, we can support not only our mental and emotional health, but our physical health as well. And in the process of shaping our outer world, our inner voice can also affect our creativity and problem-solving abilities. When we silence the inner critic and replace it with a voice that encourages exploration, innovation, and curiosity, we create space for creative thinking to flourish. Our inner voice can either stifle our creativity by feeding us doubts and insecurities, or propel us forward by empowering us to think outside the box and take risks. By cultivating a positive, supportive inner dialogue, we allow ourselves to access our full creative potential. Ultimately, our inner voice has the power to shape every aspect of our reality. It dictates the way we see ourselves, the way we interact with others, the way we approach challenges, and the way we create our future. By becoming more aware of the stories we tell ourselves, we can begin to rewrite them in a way that empowers us. Shifting from a voice of criticism and limitation to one of encouragement and possibility has the potential to transform our lives in ways we never thought possible. The way we talk to ourselves influences everything around us, and when we choose to nurture a compassionate, growth-oriented inner voice, we shape a world that reflects our true potential. Hope is often misunderstood as something that comes to us when circumstances align or when everything falls into place. We think of it as something that happens to us, a spark that we suddenly feel in moments of clarity or relief. But the truth is, hope is not passive. It's not something that just appears. Hope is an active choice, a conscious decision to believe in possibility, even when it's hard to see it. It's a mindset we cultivate, not a fleeting feeling we wait for. Choosing hope requires a shift in perspective. It means looking at a difficult situation and asking, what could this teach me? Or what's the next step I can take, no matter how small? It's about daring to believe that no matter how dark things might seem, there is always a way forward. Hope isn't about denying reality or sugarcoating the difficulties we face. It's about looking at those challenges and choosing to keep going, even when the path ahead isn't clear. It's understanding that we don't always have control over what happens to us, but we always have control over how we respond. This act of choosing hope is not one of blind optimism, where we pretend everything will magically work out. Instead, it's about quiet strength that comes from knowing we can endure, adapt, and grow. Hope is rooted in the belief that we have the ability to move towards something better, even when it feels impossible. It's the decision to take action, to reach out for help, or to keep going even when we don't have all the answers. Hope requires courage because it asks us to step into the unknown, trusting that our efforts will matter, even if the outcome is uncertain. When we choose hope, we tap into our inner resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It's about learning how to rise after a fall, to adjust when things don't go as planned, and to keep moving forward in the face of adversity. Hope nurtures resilience by reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles and that every challenge we face holds the potential for growth. It teaches us that even when life is difficult, there is always room for change, healing, and improvement. Hope also has a ripple effect. When we choose to live with hope, it inspires others to do the same. Our hope becomes a beacon for those around us, showing them that it's possible to find light, even in the darkest of times. This collective energy strengthens communities and builds connections, reminding us that we are all capable of creating a brighter future, one small step at a time. However, hope isn't something that we can summon out of thin air in every moment. There will be times when it feels hard to grasp, especially when we're facing significant challenges or feeling overwhelmed. And that's okay. In those times, it's important to remember that choosing hope doesn't mean you have to feel hopeful all the time. Sometimes it's enough to simply hold onto the belief that hope exists, even when it feels distant. By acknowledging that hope is still available, we make room for it to grow again, bit by bit. Ultimately, hope is a powerful act of self-compassion. It is an invitation to believe in your own strength, even when you're not sure how you're going to get through the day. It's a reminder that no matter where you are, the possibility for change is always there, waiting for you to embrace it. And the most beautiful thing about hope is that Once we choose it, it becomes a cycle. Because when we act from a place of hope, we inspire the people around us to do the same. Hope is an active choice we make every single day. It's not something we wait for. It's something we create through our actions, our beliefs, and the way we engage with the world. And when we choose hope, we choose a life filled with possibility, growth, and the unwavering belief that no matter what happens, we can keep moving forward. Failure is often viewed as something to be avoided or feared, a sign that we've done something wrong or that we're not good enough. Society tends to associate failure with weakness or incompetence, as though it's the end of the road, a final verdict on our abilities or worth. But what if failure is not the end at all? What if it's actually fertile ground, the very soil where growth, learning, and transformation can take root? When we shift our perspective and begin to see failure for what it truly is, we unlock its power to shape us into stronger, wiser, and more resilient people. Failure, in its truest form, isn't a reflection of our identity. It's a moment in time, a temporary setback, or an opportunity for course correction. Every time we fail, we learn something new about ourselves, our capabilities, and the world around us. And in that learning, we find the seeds of future success. What we often forget is that the most significant growth comes from pushing through the uncomfortable, the messy, and the unknown. And so this is where failure has its greatest potential to transform us. When we embrace failure as fertile ground, we allow ourselves the freedom to try, to take risks, and to step into the unknown without the fear of being judged or rejected. We understand that each failure is not a personal indictment, but an essential part of the journey. It's the process of trial and error, a necessary step toward mastery. Think about it. No great achievement or invention has ever been reached without failure along the way. Failure is the proving ground where we test our limits, refine our ideas, and find out what truly works. In fact, failure is often where we uncover the deepest lessons about perseverance, resilience, and creativity. When things don't go as planned, it forces us to reassess our approach and think outside the box. It forces us to ask difficult questions. What can I do differently next time? What worked and what didn't? This introspection leads to deeper self-awareness, and it is this self-awareness that fuels progress. Without failure, we might never be pushed to dig deeper or to reimagine our solutions. Moreover, failure teaches us humility and compassion. It strips away the illusion of perfection and reminds us that we are all human. It's in our failures that we realize we don't have to be flawless to be worthy or valuable. Failure helps us understand that it's okay to stumble, to make mistakes, and to not have all the answers. It's part of being alive, part of being in the world, and part of growing. When we embrace this truth, we also begin to extend more compassion to others when they fail, knowing that they are learning and evolving just as we are. But even beyond the lessons we gain, failure is an invitation to try again. It's easy to give up when we fall short, but it's through the act of getting back up over and over again that we build the kind of resilience that allows us to achieve our dreams. Failure doesn't define us. Our ability to persist in the face of failure does. The more we fail, the more opportunities we have to practice perseverance, and the stronger we become. With each failure, we're inching closer to success. Not because we're getting everything right, but because we're learning how to navigate the complexities of life with more grace, awareness, and determination. Another important aspect of failure as fertile ground is that it allows us to embrace a growth mindset. In a growth mindset, failure is seen not as a reflection of our inherent abilities, but as a signal that we need to adjust, learn, and improve. This mindset shifts the focus from the fear of failure to the excitement of learning. It's about seeing every failure as a stepping stone toward progress, where each misstep brings us closer to our goals. A mindset that encourages curiosity, experimentation, and the willingness to fail forward. Ultimately, failure provides us with the opportunity to redefine success. We start to understand that success isn't a destination, but a journey, one that's marked not only by our triumphs, but by the lessons we gain through failure. Success is not about getting everything right on the first try. It's about getting up after each fall and choosing to keep moving forward, armed with the wisdom we've gathered along the way. When we look at failure as fertile ground, we stop viewing it as something to fear and start seeing it as something that nourishes us, helping us grow into the best version of ourselves. We understand that without failure, there would be no breakthroughs, no transformation, and no progress. It's through failure that we find the space to become who we were always meant to be, resilient, wise, and ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. So let's choose to see failure for what it truly is, not the end of the road, but the beginning of a new chapter in our story. Let's use failure as the soil in which our dreams can grow, knowing that every setback is an opportunity for growth, learning, and becoming more of who we are meant to be. Connection is one of the most powerful forces in the human experience. It's a deep and essential part of what it means to be alive, to belong, to be seen, and to be understood. In a world that often emphasizes individuality and personal success, we can easily overlook the profound impact that connection has on our mental and emotional well-being. Yet, it's connection that fuels positivity, propelling us through life's challenges and giving us the strength to keep going even when things feel overwhelming. Human beings are inherently social creatures. We thrive when we feel that we're part of something bigger than ourselves, whether that's a family, a community, or a shared purpose. Positive thinking isn't something we can cultivate in isolation. It's rooted in the relationships we nurture and the bonds we form with others. When we connect with people, whether through deep conversations, shared experiences, or simple acts of kindness, we create a space of mutual support and encouragement. These connections help to affirm our sense of worth, reinforcing the belief that we are valued and understood. But connection does more than just make us feel good. It directly influences our mental and emotional health. When we experience positive, meaningful connections with others, our brains release a cocktail of neurochemicals, including oxytocin, often referred to as the bonding hormone or love hormone. This chemical plays a critical role in reducing stress, promoting feelings of safety and well-being, and fostering trust. It's not just a nice feeling, it's a biological response that strengthens the foundation of positivity in our lives. In times of stress or uncertainty, these moments of connection can be like lifelines, providing the reassurance that we are not alone in our struggles. At the core of connection is empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and open with others, we invite empathy into our lives. This empathy creates a space where we can acknowledge each other's pain and celebrate each other's joys. It allows us to see that our struggles are not unique or isolating. They are part of the shared human experience. When we feel heard and understood, it affirms our humanity and helps us move through difficult emotions more easily. This emotional support doesn't just lift us up in times of hardship, it also encourages us to be more present and compassionate toward ourselves and others. The impact of connection goes beyond individual relationships. It's also about the collective energy we create when we come together as a community. Think about the times when you've been part of a group, whether it's at work, in a class, or within a social circle. where the energy of the group was positive, supportive, and uplifting. There's a certain magic that happens when we collaborate with others toward a common goal. Connection in a group setting fosters a sense of shared purpose, creating an environment where positivity thrives. The more we engage with others in meaningful ways, the more we're able to feed off each other's energy, inspiration, and optimism. Moreover, connection fuels positivity by reminding us of the value of giving and receiving. There is something profoundly fulfilling about being there for others, offering a listening ear, or providing support when needed. The act of giving, whether through a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or simply showing up for someone, creates a sense of reciprocity and strengthens our sense of purpose. When we give, we not only make a positive impact on others, but we also reinforce our own positive mindset. Helping others fosters a deep sense of gratitude, which is another cornerstone of positive thinking. At the same time, being on the receiving end of connection helps us to feel cared for and appreciated, reminding us that we are deserving of love and support. Connection also helps us to see the bigger picture. When we are isolated or consumed with our own thoughts, it's easy to get lost in negativity or to lose sight of the broader context of our lives. But when we connect with others, we often gain fresh perspectives. Through the stories, experiences, and wisdom of others, we come to understand that our own challenges are not insurmountable. We realize that others have faced similar difficulties and have found ways to overcome them. This shared perspective helps to broaden our understanding and reinforces the belief that we too can navigate our challenges with grace and resilience. One of the most powerful aspects of connection is its ability to remind us of our shared humanity. In times of joy and in times of sorrow, we are all in this together. This collective experience can be both humbling and uplifting. It reminds us that we are not just isolated beings, but part of a larger web of people who are experiencing life in their own ways. When we connect with others, whether in moments of joy, laughter, or sadness, we affirm our sense of belonging and our place in the world. The act of connecting with others also fosters a sense of hope. It shows us that there is always someone who cares, always someone who is willing to listen, always someone who can help us see things from a new angle. It's this hope derived from connection that fuels our positivity. It gives us the strength to face challenges head on and to keep moving forward, knowing that we are not doing it alone. In the end, connection is the energy that fuels positivity. It's the invisible thread that ties us together and supports us through the ups and downs of life. It reminds us that we are stronger together, that our collective energy has the power to uplift, heal, and inspire. Connection gives us a reason to believe that no matter what happens, there's always hope, always love, and always the potential for growth. So let's nurture our connections with others, knowing that in doing so, we are creating a life filled with meaning, support, and positivity. The idea of striving for perfection is deeply ingrained in our culture. We're often taught that success is about achieving flawless results, meeting every standard, and living up to the highest possible expectations. However, this mindset can be incredibly limiting and draining, as perfection is often an unattainable goal. It's not that we shouldn't aim for excellence or improvement, but when perfection becomes the only acceptable outcome, we can easily become paralyzed by fear of failure or disappointment. This is why it's essential to shift our focus from perfection to progress. Progress is the constant, ongoing movement forward, a mindset that embraces growth, learning, and resilience, rather than a static, flawless endpoint. Choosing progress over perfection means embracing the journey rather than fixating on an idealized destination. When we focus on progress, we celebrate the small steps and incremental improvements we make each day. Instead of berating ourselves for not achieving everything all at once or for not meeting some unreachable standard, we acknowledge the effort, persistence, and growth that are part of every step forward. And progress isn't about being perfect in every moment. It's about moving in the right direction, no matter how small the steps may seem. It's whether we're in the right direction. The pressure to be perfect can lead to burnout and frustration. When we constantly measure ourselves against an ideal, it's easy to feel like we're failing, even when we're making real strides. Perfectionism can also create a fear of trying new things because we're afraid of making mistakes or falling short of expectations. This fear can trap us in a cycle of procrastination or avoidance. But when we choose to focus on progress, we free ourselves from this paralyzing fear. We begin to see that mistakes are not failures, but valuable opportunities to learn and grow. With each attempt, we gather more information, build more experience, and move closer to our goals. Progress over perfection also encourages self-compassion. When we focus on progress, we stop demanding perfection from ourselves, and we start to appreciate our efforts, even if they fall short of some ideal. We understand that we are human, that setbacks are a natural part of any process, and that we don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. This self-compassion is essential for maintaining mental and emotional well-being. By being kind to ourselves, we can better handle the inevitable challenges and setbacks that come with any endeavor. It's also important to recognize that progress is often messy. It's not a linear path. There will be times when we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But even the setbacks are part of progress. They teach us lessons, help us refine our strategies, and give us the chance to develop resilience. When we accept that progress is a messy, non-linear process, we can better embrace the ups and downs as part of our growth. It's in those moments of difficulty that we often discover new strengths, insights, and perspectives that propel us forward. Choosing progress over perfection also shifts our relationship with success. In a perfectionist mindset, success is a singular, final achievement that we either reach or fail to reach. However, when we focus on progress, success becomes a continuous process. It's not something we reach once and for all, but something we experience every time we move forward, even in small ways. Every step we take toward our goal, no matter how imperfect, is a success in itself. By reframing success as progress, we celebrate the ongoing effort rather than seeing success as a distant, unreachable finish line. Another powerful benefit of focusing on progress is the ability to enjoy the present moment. When we're fixated on perfection, we can become so focused on the outcome that we forget to enjoy the process. We miss the small victories, the lessons, and the moments of joy that are present in the here and now. Progress allows us to appreciate the journey, to find satisfaction in the work itself, and to stay present with what we're doing. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or achievement, we learn to find fulfillment in every step along the way. Progress also fosters a mindset of curiosity. When we let go of the need to be perfect, we become more open to exploring new ideas, taking risks, and trying new approaches. Progress is about experimentation, learning from what works and what doesn't, and adapting as we go. We stop viewing mistakes as failures and start seeing them as valuable data points in our ongoing journey. Curiosity is key to growth, and when we embrace progress, we cultivate a mindset that is open, flexible, and eager to learn. Perhaps most importantly, focusing on progress over perfection helps us embrace our own humanity. Perfectionism often implies that there is something wrong with us if we don't meet an idealized standard. But when we focus on progress, we embrace the fact that we are imperfect beings, always evolving, always learning, and always growing. Progress is a celebration of who we are in the moment, not just who we will be once we achieve perfection. It reminds us that we are worthy, not because we've achieved something flawless, but because we are doing the best we can and moving forward with intention. And so in closing, I would just say, in the end, progress over perfection is a mindset that fosters resilience, growth, and joy. It allows us to embrace the messiness of life and the beauty of our imperfect journey. It encourages us to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them, all while celebrating the small wins along the way. By choosing progress, we give ourselves permission to be human, imperfect, but always moving towards something better. We free ourselves from the shackles of perfectionism and open ourselves up to a life of continuous growth, learning, and fulfillment. Progress is not just about achieving goals. It's about the richness of the process and the person we become along the way. As we think about positive thinking, let's remember that it's not about living a life free of challenges. It's about finding meaning in those challenges. It's about daring to believe in something better and showing up for ourselves and others with an open heart. So my question for you is this: what would your life look like if you chose positive thinking, even when it's hard? Let's start small and see where it takes us. Thank you.